This is Jonathan Aggoff here for Pro Boxing Fans. It is the Monday after the weekend before. Joining me is Matthew Hatton after a successful night's work in Gibraltar, successful week. Campbell Hatton off the mark. Matthew, how are you feeling?
Yeah, off the mark. It was a great few days in Gibraltar. Fair play to Matchroom. It was absolutely top draw. And what an experience for Campbell. Huge expectation around him. There was a lot of nerves. And like I say, I remember my professional debut, and there was nothing like the interest and the publicity, what's been around Campbell in the last few days. And that was such a nerve-wracking experience for me. So I think on the whole, Campbell coped with it really, really well. And again, it's like you touched on there, he's off the mark now. We're away. He's fighting again in May. And I think you'll see big improvements in his second fight. It was a big occasion, a lot of nerves, a lot of nervous energy used there. And like you say, rightly so, totally understandable. So yeah, we've got that tough one out of the way now.
I honestly can't remember a debut that's had so much attention, so much media. There's so much anticipation, even maybe 2-3 weeks before Campbell's debut. How did he deal with the pressure off camera? On camera, he seemed really calm, like he took it in his stride. Was he nervous off camera?
I think he put a brave face on it, really, because Eddie Hearn even said to me, and he wasn't joking. It surprised me. The interest in Campbell, the media, it was just relentless for him. It really, really was. So on the whole, I think he coped with it well. Lessons learned for everyone all round. And like you say, he's got that first one out of the way now, but there's massive interest in it. But he's got to get used to that. It's just part of the, if you want to be a star, that's just something that comes with the territory. So he's got to get used to it. But he'll know a little bit more what to expect now, because it shocked me, to be honest. Just the interest in him and the amount of obligations that he had to do.
Mm-hmm. How much better do you think he'll be because of that experience? It's now we've seen what he can do, glimpses, I guess, and patches of what he can do, and now sort of that media expectation, as you say, will be there. But surely in the second fight, we've kind of done that bit. You'd think.
100%. I mean, it's. I wouldn't say it was a bad performance from Campbell, but I know what he's capable of. He was disappointed. His exact words for me after the fight was a box shit there. I wouldn't say that, but below par performance for me, because I know what Campbell's capable of. And I'm being brutally honest, I did think it was a below par performance. But when you consider everything that we've just touched on before, understandable. And I think you'll see a big improvement in his next fight. I really do. And like you said, he showed in little glimpses what he is capable of. But on the whole, below par performance for me, being brutally honest. I know he feels the same, but I do think you'll see a big improvement next time.
What were you most sort of impressed with about his performance? He was sinking in those left hooks we saw. And what was the improvements you'd like to see in the second fight? And let's not forget, I believe he had very little amateur experience. So, it's all a learning curve, and it was over 4 rounds.
Very little amateur experience. Very young man at only 20. The plan was for him to stay amateur a little bit longer, probably another 6-12 months. But with the COVID, we did feel it was the best thing to do in the long run to get him active, to get him fighting, and to turn him professional a little bit earlier. I thought he did some good body work in the fight. The kid was, again, let's be honest, people aren't silly. The opponent wasn't the best in the world, far from it. But he was very, very tough. Only stopped once in 10 fights. Very durable. But yeah, some good body work from Campbell. But he's capable of so much more. He really is. He's fit as a fiddle, Campbell. But he used a lot of nervous energy. He was exhausted after the fight. Again, it was a little bit scrappy, a little bit untidy for me. And there's improvements that need to be made all round, really.
What were you telling him sort of in between rounds that you can sort of tell us?
just telling him in between rounds, just, he was loading up a lot, throwing a lot of power shots. I wanted him to use his jab a little bit more. Again, his head was coming up a little bit, chin down. He was falling in a little bit. He manoeuvred the guy into some good positions on the ropes. I would have liked to see him pick his shots a little bit better. He was falling in, getting a little bit scrappy, just maintaining that distance. And again, a little bit more variety. I wanted to see the uppercuts a little bit more. He was going left up happy a little bit. I wanted to see him use the right side as well. For someone who's such a good body puncher, he needs to start using them uppercuts a little bit more, set the attacks up there. I just wanted it all round to be a little bit tidier. But we set high expectation for Campbell because I know what he's capable of doing. So, yeah, I was slightly disappointed with the performance, but I think you'll see a big improvement next time.
You could tell sort of Campbell was sort of seemingly wanted to get that knockout, that first big win by knockout. Was that sort of the game plan heading in? Because I know, he was a favourite to get a knockout with the bookies.
Yeah, I fancied Campbell to get the stoppage. Again, I was stressing to him before the fight. It wasn't about knocking the fella out or getting a stoppage. It was just about impressing and looking good doing it. But I did believe that Campbell would have stopped him before the fight. And if Campbell would have performed better, he definitely would have done. But again, that one's in the past now. He's fighting in May. And like I've said, I'm brutally honest, mate. If it was a bad performance, I would say that. I wouldn't say it was a bad performance, say it was below par performance for what we expect from Campbell.
Do you think that all comes with sort of experience and adjusting to the pro game and, everything that comes with it? Do you think it's just an experience thing? Because, you can't always get, I guess, the perfect display on game one.
No, absolutely. It's all down to experience. And like I say, it was a huge, huge night for him. It really was. So, again, I've got to be, I do have high expectations for Campbell, but I've got to be realistic. For a young man, 20-year-old, with that amount of pressure and that amount of nerves that must have been there, maybe I'm being too ambitious, wanting him to go in there and look really good, when you consider all the things. But again, the whole experience, not just the boxing, the whole week over there will stand him in good stead. Learned so much about himself in and out of the ring. So again, he's going to have a few days out of the gym now. We'll be back in at the back end of next week, and we'll start working towards an improved performance in May.
I saw that he seemed a bit disappointed in his own performance. Did that make you pleased that he has that mentality? That he wants to improve. It's not just like he was like, oh, I'm so happy with the performance. He seems to want to get better. He wasn't happy himself.
Great attitude to have, because if you get out of that ring and you think he'd have walked away and thought, oh, that was good, that was this was that. But you've got to be honest with yourself. I was pleasantly surprised when he got out of the ring, and he was disappointed because I know he's capable of more, and that will help him improve. You get out of the ring, not honest with yourself and thought, oh, that was great, that was fantastic, I've won, let's get cracking on to the next one. So part of me was pleased that he wasn't happy because I know he's capable of doing more, and that shows that he's willing to get back in the gym, learn, put them things right, and improve as a fighter. Absolutely, you banged on.
So we know he's back May 1st, Chisora Parker, undercard, another big stage and occasion. Have you discussed with Eddie Hearn and Ricky about how you want to manage him going forward in terms of the amount of fights, the level of opposition?
Again, we'll just take it slow with Campbell, one step at a time. I mean, it's always good to have in your head a rough idea of plan, but it all depends how he goes on against the level of opposition. I would have thought the level of opposition will be increased slightly next time, but we're in no rush with Campbell. We're fortunate Eddie Hearn knows it's going to be a process with Campbell. So no opponent yet for me. Again, we'll see who they come up with. Another big night, another big occasion, but something he's going to have to get used to if he wants to be a top fighter. And be in these big fights, he's got to get used to it. But Campbell will be itching to get back in there now. I know Campbell, and again, he was underwhelmed with his performance, and he'll be back in the gym and working hard. He'd want to come in tomorrow if I let him, but it's important he has 2 or 3 days off, coming back end of the week, because we was training a long time for that pro debut. It did get put back, but no, I really do think you'll see a much improved performance in May. I really do.
Did you get goosebumps, seeing him ring walk? Because I mean, I'm 23, but it kind of took me back to sort of the late fights I saw with Ricky, sort of, as I was growing up. Did you as a family get goosebumps just seeing him fight for the first time?
I did. I must admit, during the day, I was getting quite emotional. I was getting lots of messages from my family. I spoke to his mum, and I was getting quite emotional, really. And I was so proud because I've always fought the world of Campbell. But then I just, I was thinking about it. Sat down, had a coffee, and I was thinking about it, and I just thought, right, need to put all that to one side now, and it's got to be strictly business and get my trainer's hat on. But no, during the day, it was getting quite emotional, but I made a conscious effort before we left to the venue, right, get your head on now, get your trainer's hat on, and it's got to be all business from here. But looking back now, I'm very proud of Campbell, really am.
How did you find wearing a Man City badge all week when you're a Red?
Oh, he took me up like a kipper there, didn't he, a little shit? I tell you what, I've had so much stick about that.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm glad there's no crowds in at the minute because I can't see myself going to Old Trafford for a bit. But no, everyone knows I'm a Red. So no, it was I think he's played a nice little stroke there.
Just moving away from Campbell for a moment, how did the week work in terms of sort of were you allowed to stay for the main event? Did you have to head back to the boat rather?
Yeah, it was always it was strange, really. In these times of COVID, again, we got to London, tested straight to your room. You then had to isolate. It was them, you got picked up once you got your COVID result. Again, we was all in a bubble, was all in a coach down to the airport, straight to the plane. Again, in Gibraltar, we was on a boat called the Sunborn. We wasn't allowed to leave the boat. The only time we left the boat was for the press conference, the weigh-in, etc., stuff like that. The night of the fight, it was just a case of getting in there, doing your job, and then you had to go back to the hotel next day. Again, you had to get another COVID test before returning home. So very, very strange, very, very strange. And usually when you fight away from home, it's quite an enjoyable experience. You can get out and about, see different parts, but it wasn't really like that. Very restrictive for the obvious reasons. A couple of tests here now. I'm home now. I've got to isolate for 5 days, then get a test, and I can carry on hopefully. So again, very strange times, aren't they? Very strange times.
What did you make of the main event? Did you get a chance to watch it?
I've watched it back, yeah. It went how I thought it really did. I mean, I said to everyone before the fight, I expected Dillian Whyte to win and to win by stoppage. So yeah, it panned out how I expected, and he's back in the mix now, Dillian, isn't he?
Absolutely. Matthew, I'm sure you get asked this on every interview you do, but I will touch on a fight coming up. Someone you know very well from a fight you had 10 years ago now against Canelo Alvarez. When you look at that fight against Billy Joe Saunders, what do you see in the fight?
Again, I think I've said it. I think around them weights, Canelo, he's more or less untouchable now. And I never like to say anybody's unbeatable, but I think he's getting to that stage around them kind of weights where he is. He doesn't seem to get hit and hurt in fights. You don't see him picking up cuts. You don't see him in trouble. And he's such a good all-round fighter now, and he's the complete fighter. I've often thought if anyone could trouble him, it is the style that Billy Joe's got with the elusiveness, the awkwardness, the movement. Like we saw Lara have success against Canelo. So Billy Joe, for me, has definitely got the right kind of style to cause Canelo problems. Billy Joe's a fantastic fighter, someone who has seen work, spar firsthand, and you don't, till you actually see him in the flesh, you don't realise how good he is. He's a quality fighter. And I think he's going to cause Alvarez some serious problems. Is he going to beat him? Personally, I don't think so. I certainly hope he can beat him. But again, around them weights, I don't think there's anybody to touch Canelo. I really don't.
When you fought him in 2011, did you see then what he was capable of? Did you see him, going up to 175, coming back down, dominating? Did you see that happening, or was that even a surprise to you, having been in the ring with him?
No, I didn't see. I knew at the time he was going to go on to have a great career and have a special career. And the fact that he's gone on to win multiple world titles at multiple weights hasn't surprised me. The fact that he's won a title like light heavyweight, I've got to be honest, I didn't see that coming. But no, I knew straight away I was in the ring with a special fighter who was going to go on to achieve great things. And I think he's going to be here to reign for some time yet. I really do.
Lastly, what is it about him that makes him so special? What do you think the attributes are that he's been unbeaten since Floyd Mayweather?
He's such a good all-rounder now, isn't he? Let's look at the obvious. Phenomenal punch power, unbelievably strong. I mean, freakishly strong. Very durable, very solid. Picks his punches really well. He wastes nothing. His defence has probably been the biggest improvement in his boxing for me. I remember when I fought him, I had no problems catching him. I just didn't have the power and it was too small to do any significant damage to him. But his defence has improved so much in time. The subtle little things we see from him, like the feints, these crazy feints, what he does, what works, which is something I encourage my fighters to try. You've got to pinch little bits off these top fighters. His defence is excellent now. The head movement's really, really good. So he's just developed into a fantastic all-rounder, hasn't he? And I'm a big fan.
And can you tell us who some of the other fighters you're working with at the moment?
Yeah, obviously Campbell, who's just boxed on at the weekend. I train a light welterweight called Luke Evans, who's 10-0. I've also got a good cruiserweight called Damien Chambers, who's 11-1. He won the Central Area title in his last fight. So I've only got a small stable, just 3 fighters. I can have a couple more, but I'm quite choosy who I work with now, because if you're doing it right, you've got to dedicate a lot of time to these kids to do it properly. And again, I've wasted a lot of time on some kids over the year. Now if I spot they're not doing what I ask of them, they're not showing the commitment to the sport that they need to, then I sort of like I don't waste my time on it anymore. But I'm very dedicated as a coach, as I was a fighter. I give it 110%, and I insist on getting the same from the fighters. So I've only got a small stable at the minute, but I've got 3 really good fighters there.
And finally, with Campbell, how does the dynamic work with Ricky? Does he come in the gym often, see what you guys are doing? Because he's got his own stable as well.
Yeah, we like I say, we live close together. Ricky's got a good stable of fighters. I often take Campbell down there sparring. We've all got our roles. Ricky is Campbell's manager. I'm Campbell's coach. He doesn't really interfere in what I do. I think he trusts what I do. It works really, really well on Saturday. It was the first time for everyone. I was sort of like intrigued, but Ricky just let me do my job. I think he was pleased with how everything went. I think he was expecting a little bit more from Campbell as well. But the whole thing worked really well. Was in the changing rooms. He let me do my job. But Ricky's so knowledgeable on the sport. He was giving Campbell advice, and it worked really, really well. And makes me look forward to the future now.
Great stuff, Matthew. Really appreciate you coming on, giving us your time today.
No problem. Anytime, mate. Anytime.
Appreciate it. And we'll look forward to seeing Campbell Hatton back in action May 1st.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nice one.